Hello, my name is Drew Schroeder, and I will be your Las Vegas nightclub promoter friend. I will teach you how to have a successful music career so that way you don't need a record label. I will show you how to turn your passion of making music and turning it into a successful music career in 9 simple steps. All you have to do is go to the link that is associated with the platform that you are listening to this on, and then put in your email. In this episode, I am having a conversation with Jeremy Schreifels, an independent musician that is working full time doing what he loves, making music. You can check out his website, roadto99.com, and remember that 99 is the numbers 99. On his website, you will see all of his contact information along with his book, Road to 99, Write, Record, Reflect, Repeat. I am also a bit embarrassed to say that since this is my first podcast I have done in a while, I made a bit of a mistake. The way I set up my Canon camera, I forgot to hit focus. Luckily, this is a podcast, so the information is purely audio, not so much the visual. So please excuse the out of focus. Even with my 10 plus years of video and video editing experience, it's still the simple things that you can forget. But regardless, I decided to publish this video because I feel like the information is invaluable. It feels like you and I are so aligned because, I mean, I've taught a lot of people. Mm-hmm. And for me personally, I started off when I moved to Las Vegas. I'm in Michigan now.
Okay.
And I moved to Las Vegas when I was 21. I'm 32 now. Mm-hmm. And as soon as I moved there, I wanted to be a dating coach, teaching guys how to pick up women. Mm-hmm. And I immediately got into nightclub promoting strip clubs. I promoted every single nightclub and strip club in Las Vegas up until 21, when I guess the new clubs that came out are Zouk and AU. If you've ever been to Las Vegas.
I have
Yeah.
multiple times.
Okay. Yeah, of course, as you should as a musician, right?
Yeah.
If people don't live there, then, or if people don't move there, at least check it out, because in the music industry, it's the entertainment capital of the world, you know?
Right.
People say, oh, you got to move to LA, but I mean, it's good, but where do people go when they want to like go vacation?
Yep.
Is Las Vegas, not LA. LA is Correct. More of like a culture thing, you know?
Yeah. And I agree with that. It's like LA's a culture thing. And like, if you want to cut your teeth or you're trying to do something specific, but like so many people are moving actually from LA now to Las Vegas.
Believe me, I know. During COVID, when everything was shutting down, the rent jumped up. It doubled. I was paying like $720 at like this one apartment complex, mm-hmm. Like a few years prior to me moving out. Mm-hmm. And then I was living with a roommate at the time of COVID. So happy about that because, isolation and whatnot.
Right.
And then he was like, hey, I want to move back to New York. And I was like, okay, well, I'll look for a place around here. I look, and that same $720 a month was $1,500 for the same unit.
Oh no.
And that was because everyone was moving over from California to,
right.
So like Las Vegas is just going to be exploding in the next, couple of years, especially with like all the new projects that they got going on with the new, with the new stadiums that are opening up, and they just opened up that giant sphere.
Yeah, I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, it's insane. But there's still some glitches in it. I can tell.
It's always in progress, right?
Yeah. Always learning, always adapting, right?
Exactly.
So I got a question, right? I have never played a musical instrument in my life, except for like Guitar Hero when I was a teenager, right?
Okay.
I don't have a musical bone in my body.
Totally cool.
I know business. Mm-hmm. I know social media and I know technology, right? And since I was switching from being a dating coach to teaching, coaching musicians like how to start a music career, so that way they don't have to like fall victim to like a record label just throwing a bunch of money at them and say, "Hey, go do stuff with it."
Right.
What is some advice that you would give to someone that like doesn't want to fall victim to a record label, right? That just wants to start out small.
You know, oddly enough, and this is not a plug, or I
Yeah,
mean, this is completely shameless and spot on point, but
right. Go for it.
I th- I think that they should hire a coach. They should hire someone like you that is willing to teach them for two
Oh,
reasons.
stop. Yeah,
No,
okay.
no, seriously, because this is what I did. I was like a broke drummer 10 years ago. Like
Yeah,
I was playing gigs, but not good gigs, and I was not like climbing the ladder, right?
yeah.
As a sideman. And I hired a coach. I was so broke, and it was the best thing that I did because it helped me
So you
organize.
hired a coach.
I hired a coach, and I'm like,
Okay.
which is why I'm like, I think that's the best things. And people keep asking me, well, Jeremy, why don't you coach musicians? You've been in the industry for over 20 years. I'm like, because
Right.
they're all broke and they don't spend money on things for themselves.
Right. And what I've noticed when it comes to like, say like someone that wants to start a music career and they get their friends that are in the music industry as well, or
Mm-hmm.
like that, but they don't have an audience.
Uh-huh.
And then they're like, okay, man, let's start this project. And then it's just like, then either one or the other gets caught up in something, because life
Mm-hmm.
happens.
Yep.
And um, I think that I think if you were to hire a coach, it is to it like that money exchange is like all the difference because that
Mm-hmm.
means that not saying that like to hire me or to hire you,
Correct.
but the fact that like your time is valued
Mm-hmm.
when you pay for a coach as
Right.
opposed to like having someone hold a camera for you or doing free studio time and you got to ask for it and they're like, okay, when I get around to it I got other stuff to do and stuff like that.
Yep.
But um okay, so let's say that the person doesn't have like a coach, right? Say if like I'm starting at ground zero, okay? I
Yeah.
got like a laptop. Um do you know of any like techniques today where people could be like or like how's a person land their first gig
I think the
without
first
going
thing
through a
you should
coach?
do is you should be going to gigs, and you
Yeah.
should like commit to meet 5 new people a week.
Okay.
Like as a very basic, like if we're talking basic start from ground zero,
Yes.
go to the local music scene and meet 5 people a week.
Local music scene.
Yeah.
Meet five
Or
people a
wherever
week.
you want to go. Like if
Right.
you're like, okay, my goal is I want to be a musician in Las Vegas. Great. You
Right.
need to go to Las Vegas then.
Right. And that's
And they're
not
like,
saying
well, I don't have the money to do
yeah.
that. I'm not at that point yet. Okay,
Right.
cool.
Yeah. You
Then
could just
do
do it
this
locally.
here because if
Right.
you can do this here, you can take it anywhere. So like
So
go meet people and then
use.
do something with it every single day.
Okay. So you're okay. So what I gather is proximity,
Yeah.
right? That's actually one of the things I coach on is proximity and well, there's two different like effects. There's the propinquity effect, which is
Mm-hmm.
putting yourself in proximity of the people that you want to be around,
Yep.
which is why I moved to Las Vegas for over 9 years, to put myself in proximity of successful people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also the mirror exposure effect, um, which the mirror exposure effect is, you know, I guess the best way of describing it is the more you see something, the more comfortable you get with it. So, like, if you if someone sees you enough times, they don't even have to know your name, but they
Mm-hmm.
feel like they're familiar with you.
Yep.
That's the mirror exposure effect. And also, the mirror exposure effect is so powerful. People like, well, I'll say like brands like Coca Cola. They don't
Mhm.
sell Coca-Cola. They sell like they just show the image everywhere. Like, polar bears. Polar bears have nothing to do with Coca-Cola, but the fact that
No,
you see it, it's the mere exposure that you're so comfortable with the brand.
right.
Same thing with Google and Apple. And um related to music with the mere exposure effect. You ever hear that song in the car and you're like, ah, man, it's a new song. I don't know what I feel about it. And then you hear it a couple of times, and the next thing you know, you're singing along with it, and you're like, yeah, I kind of like this song.
Yep.
That's the mere exposure effect, and that's like,
And then a week later, you're sharing it with your friends.
yeah, exactly. And I feel like that not just in growing your network, but growing as like a creator
Hmm.
and growing an audience, the mere exposure effect is something really powerful.
Because one of the things that I wanted to do, this was like 7, 8 years ago. Um, and I talk about this in the book that I currently have out.
Yeah,
Um, but this story of like I thought I wanted to move to Nashville and be
yeah,
like a sideman in Nashville. And
okay,
so I was like, I don't know how to do this. So I got on a call with somebody and they kind of did some coaching and mentorship to me. And they're like, just go. And I'm like, well, what do you mean just go? And they're like,
yeah,
all you need to do, and this describes exactly what you just said right there, is
right,
go every 4 to 6 weeks and just spend a few days, go meet
right,
people each time, and then go home. And then come back 4 to 6 weeks later and just do the same thing. I did that for 2 years. I
yeah,
created a massive network in Nashville.
right,
I haven't been. I think I've only been once now since 2020, just because of course, how that played out.
of
Um,
course,
However, I built this massive network of people. I have all of the people that I hire for my studio work now. They're all from Nashville, and I have this huge network. And now they're asking me, "Well, where's Jeremy? Why haven't you been down here? You're not in town. What do you mean you don't live here?"
I get the same thing in Las Vegas. They're like, hey, when are you coming back?
Yep.
And I'm like, man, like, I don't know. I was just in Las Vegas in um late July, early August, somewhere around there. And like, I wasn't there that long. I was only there for like 3 or 4 nights.
Mm-hmm.
And I was busy at the time, but it's something where like I can always go back and have connections to pretty much go wherever.
Yep.
And you got to remember, like, once you have those connections, they're you basically know them for life as long as you just
Mm-hmm.
stay in touch with them.
And that's the key. You still have to stay in touch with them.
Yeah. So that's when like the whole networking part of instead of grabbing their phone number, because I feel like a phone number is really personal, but um so you have that personal touch, but you're not texting them. Like, how many people do you text on a daily basis?
Right.
Probably not that much. So that's why I always advise people to use their social media as a as more like a portfolio.
Mm-hmm. Use it for the tool that it was meant to be, which is to network. It's to connect with people that you couldn't reach if they're in your hometown.
Huh. Imagine that. Social networking. Yeah, of
It's
course.
what it
Yeah.
was
But
built for,
you know
right?
what? I
Not all
guess,
the
yeah.
other things, but that's what it
Yeah.
was built for. So, and because people ask me that all the time, like, you're on social media all the time. I'm like, not really.
Yeah, me either.
Maybe 30 minutes a day tops,
Yeah.
but it's more of a people think that because I'm everywhere, because I have all of these networks and all these people that I
Yeah.
connect with and stay connected with.
So, okay. Now back to the gigs, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, you just starting out, you start going to like what, like open mics, um, other shows,
Mm-hmm.
bars and stuff like that.
Yep.
And you start networking. You start to, freely talk to people. Uh, what next? Like, do you talk to the manager or do you call? Do you email?
In this market, like I'm in Minnesota, so like let's call it the kind of the Midwest market, which is like the 5 state area around us.
Okay.
Most of the time, and I haven't done this in a while, but people around here are saying the best way is to kind of just email and be in touch with whoever that booking contact is.
Okay.
I think a more kind of guerrilla way to do it is like ask to open for somebody. Say,
Right.
hey, whether it's like if you're a solo person, that's super easy. If you're a band, it's a little bit logistically more of a challenge. But if you're just a solo person, like go ask to open for a band. Say, hey, can I play a 45-minute set on the front of your set?
Oh, so you talk to the artist, you don't
Talk to the artist.
talk to the artist, you don't talk to the manager
Yeah, as a first opportunity.
as a first opportunity.
Because then the manager is going to be like, what do you mean this person's bringing an opener? Why wouldn't they? They're going to bring more people to their bar.
Right.
That artist is going to be like, we have to work 45 less minutes and our pay doesn't change. Cool.
And also entertainment for longer.
Exactly. And so,
Okay.
like, we have now this collaborative idea. And then the bar owner's like, oh, hey, I really like that person. That's not, he doesn't have a band or she doesn't have a band. So, like, what if they do an acoustic night? Oh, I remember that person. They opened up for such and such a band.
Huh.
Let me look them up.
It sounds like
Right.
so easy to network. Okay.
So
Yeah,
it's
that's
just
networking right there.
yeah.
Okay. And the thing is, I don't think it even stops there because, like what I would suggest is, have a friend, or like pay someone to do it, but or set up a tripod
Mhm.
and film that performance and then put it on
Yes.
social media.
Yes.
And it perpetuates the cycle of, hey, now I have social proof
Hmm.
on my phone, on my social media, that I'm playing at these gigs, opening for this person that's kind of similar to my music, or maybe not even similar to the music. Because
Yep.
I mean, even in Las Vegas, they would have like people opening to the DJ sets at like
Yep.
the major nightclubs like Hakkasan and Omnia that was not even related to like the genre. Like they would start off with like hip hop, which is like really like everyone can like most people enjoy hip hop to some degree.
Yep.
And then and then it would lead into like something like EDM, and
Yes.
that's when the main performer would go on. So they'd be like three different performers and then after. So um I think even if you don't open for them, if you can like be the closing guy too,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, it in your because now you guys can piggyback off of each other's audiences.
Right.
Go live, say, hey, I'm opening for, or I'm closing down the show for,
Yeah.
and it's all perception, right? That's at least 80% of the rule. And so you can kind of keep perpetuating that. Go live. Live
Right.
stays there forever. You can still save the video, cut it up, put it other places.
So the thing that I don't like about live is that like you don't know what's going to happen with live.
True. It depends on like what's your goal behind it, right? Is your goal to
Right.
create a piece so you have something for social proof, or is it to be like to get engagement? Because you're going
Uh,
to get more engagement from the live,
well, you're right.
but from a polished piece, let's call it, because now you can edit it or you
Yeah.
can, be more intentional about what you're actually releasing.
And hopefully with the live, it's not as grainy as some lives can be.
Correct.
Because that's another issue with live, I feel like,
Hmm.
is that you can't see anything sometimes because it's so pixelated because of the poor connection.
Correct.
And
Right.
I think that's something to like really like make sure that it's dialed in, not to like use the free Wi-Fi in the sports bar or something like that,
Right.
right?
That everybody else is also using.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah, I think that's a really good takeaway for like a lot of people that are really just really trying to start out, or if they want to get back into like some smaller gigs and work their way up. Is there anything else that you would add on to that aspect? Say like you book like 3 or 4 shows that are doing live. Okay.
Hmm.
Um, I got 3 live shows. I filmed them. I put them on social media. What is like, at what point do you think that you could start charging? Be like, look, I've been doing this a couple of times.
Uh, Honestly, the sooner the better.
Yeah.
Like, I think as creatives, let's just say, let's use creatives.
Okay.
Clearly, it's musicians, but creatives, we undervalue everything we do, and we'll like do anything for exposure or for people to see us, or we should stop doing that, because now it becomes expected
Right.
by the masses. Our job as a musician coming into a venue, say a bar where you probably are going to start out, or small venues or coffee shops or whatever it is, our job is to sell booze. Our job
Right.
is to make that bar money. That's our first job. Our second job is for people to hear and experience us as a human being and as an artist. Then, if we've achieved number one and number two, now we can be an artist. Now we can maybe introduce our own songs, or maybe you have some creative ways that you put songs together, so you can weave in one of your own songs without people knowing, because it's so
Right.
similar. You know what I mean? And so you can be creative, and sometimes like leads some songwriters will come to me, they're like, I play all these covers and then I play one of my songs and then the dance floor empties. I'm like, well, that tells me two things. One is they might need a break and actually need to get a drink, right? Like that's just
Right.
human nature. We have biology. The second thing is do you spend a bunch of time saying, hey, here's my new single, or here's my song that I wrote last week, and then tell a soliloquy for 5 minutes
Right.
and then play the song? If you just went from playing ABC song that's people
The
are dancing
ABCs.
to, yeah, I mean, I don't want to call out a song because I don't want to name a
Of
genre.
course.
You don't go from playing whatever Sweet Home Alabama, and that everybody loves and knows and has been listening to since they were in the womb,
Right.
and then play your song after explaining it for 5 minutes.
Of course.
Now,
You're
if
going to
you,
kill it. Like,
yeah,
and
it's
not
just
in a
gonna be
good
like,
way. Yeah, of course.
but if you came out of Sweet Home Alabama with a song that sounded very much like it,
Right.
and then just played it and then ended it, people would stay on the dance floor, or you would not lose at least the whole dance floor.
Right. So you're saying to piggyback off of a popular song that sounds like yours,
Mm-hmm.
and then explain it.
If you think, hey, that was the one we just released it on our new album,
Yeah,
and
obviously
then
not
go
like a
into the next
5 minute
song,
outro. Right. Okay. Yeah.
because I many things are happening, right? It's the psychology of it, not only from the artist and the band standpoint, but also from the audience. Okay. So if I'm going to stand there for 5 minutes let's just call this that we're playing in a live band setting, right? This
Right.
isn't a mic night. This isn't a singer songwriter night where we're supposed to explain every song in some storytelling detail and then perform it. That's not the goal.
I got you. And I'll say this, when it comes to if you just absolutely bomb the dance floor, right?
Mm-hmm.
I learned this trick from Dylan Francis. Okay, he's a really really popular DJ. If you bomb, like everyone leaves the dance floor, say your like laptop dies or something,
Mm-hmm.
or something messes up, the one song, the get out of jail free card, you can only use it like once a night. Okay, so don't mess up too many times.
Right.
Is the song is "Buy You a Drink" by T-Pain. As soon as you hear that da da da, or however it goes, everyone
Mm-hmm.
starts running to the dance floor. Works every time.
That's good information.
Yeah.
That's a golden nugget right here.
Yeah. There's a lot of other cool like transitions that I've learned over the years, because I used to go out to being a nightclub promoter. My job was to go to nightclubs and
Right.
network every single night. I've approached about 250,000 people in my life, just in the 9 years of being a nightclub promoter, walking up to people on the strip, and just genuinely talking to people, and then inviting them to my club, and then going out to other nightclubs to network and get the people from inside the club to, hey, why don't you leave this club and come to my club, and then I'll even give you some drink tickets and stuff like that.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So going through that, there's been a lot of DJ sets that I've seen over the years that they just work.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you said like not specific songs or anything, but there's always that like there's a build up to a turn. I'm talking about like EDM specifically, but
Yep.
or like DJs. There's a build up and then there's a drop, or not drop. There's a build up and then the music stops. They turn on the lights and everyone looks around like, what the hell? And then after about 2 or 3 seconds, Wonderwall starts playing. Every single time, it's always Wonderwall. And then halfway through the song, like literally like 50% through the song, that's when you transition where he says, "You're my Wonderwall," right? And
Yep.
and then it fades into the next song. So that way you don't hear the whole song Wonderwall because it is pretty repetitive.
Right.
And that kills it every time because everyone loves that song, no matter what genre that you're playing in music.
Correct.
But then it drops, and then the cryo comes out onto the dance floor and stuff like that.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
you got to know the audience, know your audience.
yeah,
I think you can learn that by exactly what you just said. Like you have being in proximity to those places. Don't just worry about what's going up on stage. Worry about what's happening on the dance floor, what's happening in the bar. And
right,
I'm the kind of person who walks in a room and notices everything anyway. And I'll assess a room regardless. It doesn't matter if I'm walking in there for a gig or to a
yeah,
store or the birthday party on Sunday or whatever it is. I'm assessing the room, and it's because it makes you be able to enter that room a lot more confidently
right,
and make it easier when you need to perform there, because you're like, oh, I know what these people do, or those people are regulars, so if I can cater to them, I know that.
right.
But if you only go once, you don't get that experience.
So I got a question, right? When it comes to transitioning out of this AI, right? Are you familiar with AI?
Extremely, yes.
Really?
Yeah, I love
Okay.
it. I'm in
You
it
love
every
it.
day. Yeah.
Um, so what do you think that AI is going to play a role coming up in the next like couple of months? Because who knows what's going to happen next year at this time when it comes to AI. But like so far, I've seen a lot of things on my feed where it's just like we make custom songs with your voice about your girlfriend or whatever playing in the song.
Yeah. That's really interesting when we talk about AI as it relates to kind of the music industry. I don't
Yeah.
use it for anything music related. I'm a purist. I will
Okay.
create it myself. Um, and for a couple of reasons. One is it's not copyrightable, so you
Right.
don't own any of it. Um, in fact,
That's
I
really
know that,
important to know too.
yeah,
Yeah.
like there are people who have literally created libraries of thousands of songs um that they wanted to use for like the syncs licensing world. So that would be for like music, for video, for TV, for film, for ads, those kinds of things. They can't use any of it because none of it is clearable by the lawyers in terms of copyright, because that person doesn't actually own the copyright to that music.
Right. Because it's
Because
generated by AI
correct,
specifically.
correct. And if it's based off that algorithm of millions of combinations of possibilities,
Yeah. AI is going to, it's making things really weird
yep,
because
it's
like, how
making
do
what
you
was,
even know if it was generated by AI or not?
that's the other
That's,
problem.
that's a big problem. Because they said that you can copyright AI music, but it has to be like almost like if I'm going to be heavily influenced off of you, I can't copy you specifically. I have to make it completely different.
Yeah,
That is still the about the same parameter
correct.
that you can use AI
It's a
and have it
tool.
your own. And you have to, that's to have it, um, if you want to have it copyrighted.
Correct.
So just putting your voice over it is not going to be
That's not,
transformative in nature.
no, that's not enough to satisfy the copyright people.
Yeah.
No.
I just think it's like when it comes to AI, no one really knows where it's going to go too much.
Mm-mm.
I just know that like live performances are always going to be the number one thing. So
Yes.
like people thinking like, oh, AI is going to take our job, right? But I mean, when I go to a nightclub, I don't want to listen to DJ Spotify,
Correct.
right? I want to listen to like a live performance, even if the person is playing it off of a scratch board and like laptop and stuff like that. They're
Mm-hmm.
still like working, you know,
Correct.
because they're still that like a person can read the crowd
Mm-hmm.
right now better than AI. But
Correct.
what what I think would like, and anyone can take this idea, like I don't care. But what if like you and I and like we bring our girls to the club together.
Mm-hmm.
There should be a time where, and I see this happening, where everyone links up, say like their Spotify or SoundCloud to the nightclub, and then it auto generates like specific like mixes based on the specific crowd and our favorited music.
I think that's already happening.
Really, damn it.
Be-
Well, I mean,
well,
like that's
not
cool,
in the
but like,
club, not in the
yeah,
club space, but I think Spotify literally just released something that
where people
is
could do that.
where it's happening like that.
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah, because there's that, you know, the DJ on um Spotify, but the thing is, it's just like it's the same thing as a mix,
correct.
right? You know, like a personalized mix. It's the same thing except for you have a DJ voice coming on saying, "Hey, guess what? Now we're going
True.
to have this
Yeah.
kind of artist." And it's not really that different, but if if Spotify can really hone in and say like, you know, hey, like with like geotag location
Mm-hmm.
like built into it, be like, hey, you know, there's three couples on the dance floor right now. This song, you all have the same song. Let's play it.
Right.
That
Right.
now, are you saying that that is something that Spotify's working on
I
right
don't
now, or you
know.
don't know?
No.
That's the vision that I have. Is
Yeah.
that like, you know, even if there's like five couples on the dance floor and like three
Mm-hmm.
different songs, we're making a unique mix of these three songs
Specific to that
for yeah,
space. Yeah.
for these five people that are freshly married because you know like Spotify has all of our data.
Correct.
I think that would be insane. And
I
I think
think
that
that would actually still be a like that still has an element of live to it, right? Because it's
right.
in real time.
Yeah.
If you can decide those things in real time.
Instead of going up to the DJ and be like, "Hey, can you play this song? And this is our song." It's just like
Yeah.
Spotify already knows
Right.
because you've listened to it like 30 times this month.
Exactly. And 10 other people have as well.
Yeah, and 10 other people have as well. So it like because I know it's a big thing when like DJs like hate taking requests.
Why not? Why?
Uh, it's just because it's like, what, you don't think I know how to do my job?
Right. I mean, I get it because like most live bands,
Yeah.
they also hate taking
Yeah, of
requests.
course. Yeah. Because what, you know, yeah.
But I can't just hit
Can
a
you play
playlist and
Freebird?
select it. Yeah, I know. No, that's $1,000 request. We'd love to play that. It's only cost you $1,000.
um, so there are a few books that I would recommend to people that are just starting out. One of them is um, was it Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter by 50 Cent,
Mm-hmm.
and that is to build a business. Okay. Do you know of any other um like resources, like books or courses that people could take?
Yes. Actually, I got a list here, so that's why I'm pulling this up. Um, so some of these are kind of like the building the mindset, self-driven kind of stuff, like The Artist's
Okay.
Journey by Stephen Pressfield or The War of Art, both great.
The War of Art or The Art of War?
The War of Art,
Okay. I haven't read that. I've read The Art of War.
correct. Um, Similar message, but definitely focused on the artist's journey and the artist's way.
Okay.
Um, and then I would suggest like things like Buy Back Your Time is a great book. I'm actually doing the audiobook of that right now. It's really good. And that's talking about the business side of things. Like, how do I delegate things? Like, I don't want to cut up
Is
my
that
social media.
based for music or
No, just
just
business in
anything?
general.
Business in general? Okay.
Yep.
I appreciate that.
Because then it's, I, and I was talking to one of my college professors this last week. And I said, it would be really nice if the curriculum that you're teaching in at the university level would actually teach musicians how to be business owners, because
Right.
that's really what we are when we leave.
Right. That actually that has like a lot of significance to it because I say that because like people they're like I've noticed when people they take on a passion project and they want to turn it into their career,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of the things that like roadblocks, like mental roadblocks that they have in their head is what if like I don't want it to be my job,
Too
right?
late.
Too late, right? But it's like they do it as like a passion,
Yeah.
right? But they're not making money off of it, so it's not a job and they want to like keep it separate, right? So how do you keep that separate or do you not keep it separate? Like how do I word this better? Um make it how would you put it in your own words like separating your passion and your creativity from your business,
I would argue that if you're running your business, it should be your passion.
right? But I mean like
But
stopping from getting out it like stopping creativity with your business, like how get them in the way.
gotcha. I know. I guess I hear what you're saying. What you're saying
Yeah,
is like, how do I separate the fact that I know that I have to run the business, but I still want to be creative and be an artist?
right,
Um, you have to find what your, and I hate this word, but balance, or let's use a better word. What is your harmony? What's your mix of
right,
what that needs to look like? Because it has to be both, but it doesn't have to be so heavy on one side or the other all of the time. Like if you're going to go and be creative and be in a creative mode, then go do that, but then you don't think about the business stuff.
right,
And then if you're just like, hey, I got to do invoicing and I got to do, this club didn't pay me, or I got to send checks to these agents because they were super gracious to me because they booked me at these places, and I need to create social media content and blah, 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 then do not allow yourself to think about the creative spot.
that's interesting because the way I look at it is like me, I'm speaking to the business owner,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the person that makes the music is the um and I'm speaking to the business owner, the sculptor,
Mm-hmm.
and the person that they put on their social media or the person that's making the music, that is I guess like another um like separating it in that terms of kind of like putting on a different hat
Sure. Yep.
and like you're painting a character with your music as opposed to like I'm a business owner and I'm painting a character rather than um just like intermingling them because that can be kind of like I guess that would be where people can get really burnt out.
Yeah. And messy and it gets chaotic.
Yeah,
Um,
and then you're like, well, I'm just making beats for people now because I'm
yeah.
like, and I don't want to do that. I want to make my own album, stuff like that.
Correct. Yeah. And so like there's a given, you have to, and some people well, I really all I want to do is make music. Okay, cool. So, you have to decide, do you want to make music and just be creative in your own space and just have it as a passion? Or do you want to have a business?
Right.
Which one do you want to have? Well, I want to make money. Okay, then to make money, here are the 10 things that you have to do.
Right.
And so for a minute, the creative side might have to pause, or it might look different until that can flip, until you can be like, I have this team of people, they take care of business, and I can just go be creative and I know it's going to be taken care of. Right.
Right.
And I realize we're talking to the people starting out. And yes, are you going to run into this constant headbutting stuff with yourself? 1,000,000%.
Yeah. There's always going to have that like
You have to,
imposter syndrome
you
where
have to
you're,
have it,
yeah.
like, oh, well, I got a 9 to 5 job and I can play music on the weekend for fun. Okay, cool. Then do that. That's awesome. I love people who are just like kind of weekend warrior band people, and that's what they love to do, and they have a blast. I think it's amazing. I don't want anything to do with that.
Yeah. That's a really good point because like, at a certain point, you also have to realize like, do you really want to work your 9 to 5 job, or do you like, do you want it as just a passion project and keep it that way?
Mm-hmm.
Or do you want to jump ship and go full time? But sooner or later, you got to make that jump.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. And the people who try to keep their feet in both, on both sides,
Yeah.
those are the ones that
They lose both.
they lose both, really.
Yeah.
They really do. I think you're right. And that's why some people, like, I try to tell them, it's like, you have to make a decision, and that's okay. You can change
And
that decision,
right.
but make the decision because you're going to be better for it.
Right. Making their, yeah. And the thing is, say like, if someone is like starting out and it doesn't work out, they can always get another job.
Yeah.
Right. And it's like not the end of the world.
Right. It doesn't
Right.
mean you're a failure. Do you still play music?
No.
Yeah.
Right.
Do you still get paid? People always ask, well, when do I become a professional musician?
Yeah.
When's the last time you got paid for a gig? Well, last week. Cool. You're a professional musician. Welcome to the club.
At
You
what
got
point?
paid for a gig.
Yeah. At what point in your career did you jump ship and you're like, you know what, I'm going to go full time music? Or you said that you still work.
Well, I have other businesses now, but there was a
Right.
point where before I kind of did music full time, I worked full time in the corporate world. Um, and I got so angry
Yeah.
because it was like you were living two lives and I just couldn't do it anymore. And it got to a point where I could do that
Yeah.
because I'm like, I want that. Okay, that means I got to work 50 hours a week over here doing the music thing and 40 hours a week doing the corporate thing until those incomes matched up, right? Because I had a wife and I had two small children and I had a mortgage and, you know, I had all those things. You couldn't just say, I want to be an artist. And I wasn't even an artist, right? I'm a sideman, I'm a drummer. So it wasn't like I was the front man. So I had to rely on other people.
Hmm.
So I couldn't, it wasn't like I could be like, oh, I just want to book 5 more solo shows this week. Not a lot of calls for solo drummer gigs in bars. At least not where I live. Maybe they do somewhere, not where I live. But I had to find those ways and those opportunities and do all those things. And then finally I could kind of dump the corporate thing. And then
What was the opportunity that really got?
I was in a couple of bands that we were playing like almost 100 shows a year.
Ooh, that's pretty good.
And then after like, and then it got up to like 100, I think 30, 140 shows a year I was playing for a few years. So like I was, playing a lot, pretty much 48 weekends a year.
I think it was Steve Aoki does like almost like 2 a day.
Yeah.
Sometimes he does like over 300 and something shows. And with Steve Aoki specifically, he does sometimes 2 or 3 shows a day. Like he'll
Yeah.
do like the day club and like 2 different nightclubs.
Hmm.
And the how he does it is just insane. Like with his I I've met him personally, but when it comes to um like his whole journey, people
Hmm.
can check that out on Netflix. It's called um what was it called? The I'll Sleep When I'm Dead with Steve
Oh,
Aoki on
yeah.
Netflix. Oh, it's so good. And the funny thing is, that was at my club. That
Oh,
like most of the footage is in Hakkasan nightclub in Las Vegas because he was one of the first performers of that nightclub. And like I was watching my coworkers on that like on the Netflix show. I'm like, oh my gosh,
nice.
I had no idea that they filmed this. So yeah. Anyway, Jeremy, I have a consultation in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah.
So it was such an honor to talk to you about this.
Oh, this was great. Yeah.
Yeah, swapping ideas and stuff. Um, the Where can people reach you, real quick?
Probably the simplest, fastest way is my book site, which is road to 99.com,
Yeah,
road to the number 99.com. That gets you access to kind of all my socials. And then also, if you just search Jeremy Schreifels on any of your favorite social media platforms, you'll definitely find me.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.